and welcome. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in for this explainer today because we are embarking on a really systematic and honestly just a completely fascinating journey. We are going to master exactly 41 essential phrasal verbs. And you know what's so amazing about this specific list? It effectively describes the entire human experience. Seriously, from how we kick off our mornings to how we navigate messy conflicts, right down to the fundamental ways we just move through the world.
But before we really get rolling, it is incredibly important to give credit where credit is profoundly due. This entire explainer, the absolute foundation of our learning today, is built squarely on a comprehensive list compiled by Joyeeta Banerjee of Nikunjapur High School. Her hard work in curating these specific 41 verbs gives us the perfect roadmap for our session. So, a huge thank you to Joyeeta Banerjee for making this possible.
Now, for those who might be absolute beginners, or, hey, if you just need a quick refresher, what exactly is a phrasal verb? Well, it's basically a standard verb combined with an adverb or a preposition, and together they yield a completely new meaning. You take a normal action word, attach a tiny little preposition to it, and boom, it transforms into an entirely different concept. It's kind of like linguistic alchemy, and it is the absolute backbone of fluent, everyday communication.
So, to make learning 41 items completely painless, highly organized, and most importantly, memorable, we've chunked Joyeeta Banerjee's list into 4 intuitive themes. We've got beginnings, endings, and pauses, searches, tasks, and discoveries, communication and relationships, and finally, movement and daily actions.
All right, part 1, beginnings, endings, and pauses. Let's just kick off the first phase of our linguistic life journey by looking at how things start, how they stop, and how they sometimes just, take a pause.
Okay, let's dive into this first comparison, because there is a really stark contrast here. On one hand, set out means to start a journey or begin. It's full of momentum, right? But then we have call off, which means to cancel. You can almost literally feel the energy shift from initiating a grand adventure to bringing it to a sudden, absolute halt.
And these next few words brilliantly illustrate the gray areas between starting and stopping. Because if you don't cancel something entirely, you might just put off the event, meaning to postpone it. And despite obstacles, you might carry on, which of course means to continue. When you're building something brand new, you set up, meaning you establish or arrange it. But as we all know, things don't always go perfectly. Sometimes machines or plans break down, which means they stop functioning or collapse. And finally, on a much more somber note regarding life itself, we have pass away, which means to die. This single set of verbs practically captures the entire spectrum of an event's life cycle.
Moving right along to section 2, searches, tasks, and discoveries. Now that we've set the stage with beginnings and endings, let's transition smoothly into the next phase of life. This is where we actively seek things out, where we roll up our sleeves to solve problems and actually make discoveries.
I really like to treat this next set of verbs as a mini detective story. Just think about the chronological flow here. First, when you lose something, you look for it, you search for it. Once you find a potential clue, you look into it, meaning you investigate. Through your careful investigation, you eventually find out the truth, which means to discover. And finally, in a lineup of possibilities, you pick out the culprit or the solution, meaning you choose or identify. See? It's an absolutely perfect sequence of discovery. Following that detective work, we move straight into physical output. These are very action-oriented. You sit down to work out a complex problem, meaning you solve or calculate it. When you finally have a solid plan, you carry out that plan. You perform or execute it. If you're a creator, you might bring out a new book or product, meaning to publish or produce something. And through all this hard work, you might just come by a great reward, which means to obtain or get something tangible. To briefly cap off this section on tasks, we have 2 highly essential management verbs. If your workload is just way too heavy, you need to cut down your tasks, meaning to reduce them. And of course, in the midst of all this producing and executing, we absolutely must take care of our responsibilities and our loved ones, which simply means to look after them. Which brings us to section 3, communication and relationships. And that's perfect, because our journey is never truly solitary, is it? We are constantly interacting, negotiating, and connecting with the people around us. Notice the natural conversational flaw built into these verbs. Imagine you're sitting in a meeting. You might bring up a bold new idea, meaning you mention or raise a topic. Maybe it lands totally flat, and you immediately want to take back what you said, meaning to withdraw a statement or return something. Your boss might turn down your proposal, which means to reject or refuse. In response to a sudden crisis, the situation might call for immediate action, meaning it demands or requires it. Or maybe you just need some solid advice, so you call up an old mentor, meaning you telephone them. Or sometimes it means to remember something.
Now, what's really interesting about these next ones is how they illustrate the sheer endurance of our social bonds. When we fight, we try to patch up the relationship, meaning we repair or settle a disagreement. True friends will always stand by you, meaning they support you or remain ready. Within families, a child might take after their parent, which means they physically or behaviorally resemble a family member. And friends will often come round to see you, meaning to visit. Though, fun fact, it's worth noting this can also mean to recover consciousness. Okay, I want to pause our rapid-fire lists for just a second here. I want to ask you directly, when you are facing an insurmountable wall, just a totally overwhelming challenge, or a deeply frustrating argument, what are the verbs we instinctively reach for when we just can't keep fighting anymore?
Well, here is the answer, and I really want to dissect this nuanced but critical difference. Give up means to abandon or stop doing something entirely. You toss your hands in the air and you just walk away. But give in means to surrender or accept defeat, often to another person or a specific demand. You might not walk away from the whole project, but you yield to your opponent's argument. It's a subtle but incredibly powerful distinction in how we handle conflict.
All right, Section 4, Movement and Daily Actions. Let's introduce the final and really the largest chunk of Joyeeta Banerjee's list. This section focuses heavily on sheer physical momentum, the chases, the movements, and the very literal actions of our daily lives.
We start the day by putting clothes on our bodies. Put on means to wear, and at the end of the day, we do the direct opposite. Take off means to remove. But I always love pointing out the fun dual meaning here. Take off is also what an airplane does when it leaves the ground for flight. Associating opposites like this is just a brilliant way to lock them into your memory for good.
Next, let's picture a sequence straight out of a high-stakes action movie. First, the hero has to go after the villain, meaning to chase or follow. If they increase their speed, they run after them, which directly means to chase. Sometimes the hero needs to keep away from danger entirely, meaning to stay away or avoid. If someone tries to interfere, the hero might have to hold back the crowd, meaning to restrain, hide, or stop them. And ultimately, the authorities arrive to take away the bad guy, which simply means to remove.
So, the crucial point here is how these final verbs truly encapsulate the life cycle of our experiences. We all go through hard times, meaning we experience them, or read through things carefully. We give away our old belongings, or perhaps reveal a secret. As time passes, children grow up, meaning they become adults. People we love leave, and hopefully they come back, meaning to return. Sometimes we have to stay back while others go ahead, meaning to remain behind. And yes, sometimes, despite our absolute best efforts, we literally fall over, which means to fall down. And there you have it. We have systematically covered all 41 verbs from Joyeeta Banerjee's incredible list, from setting out on a journey, to investigating the truth, to patching up relationships, to eventually growing up. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. How will you navigate your own journey today with these 41 new tools? The vocabulary is yours now. Go out and use it. Thank you so much for joining me, and keep exploring.